Hello, I'm Father Tim from Holy Family Parish in Adrian, Michigan, and welcome to another McIntire Catechetical moment. In this and future moments, I will answer a question about or touch upon a topic related to our Catholic faith. In this edition, we will tackle the first half of this sentence from St. Paul's letter to the Romans. But where sin abounded, grace did much more abound. Where sin abounded, grace did much more abound. Sin, according to the Catechism of the Catholic Church, is an offense against reason, or the natural law, truth, or God, and right conscience. It is failure in genuine love for God and neighbor caused by a perverse attachment to certain goods. It wounds the nature of man and injures human solidarity. Again, sin from the Catechism of the Catholic Church is an offense against reason, truth, and right conscience. It is failure in genuine love for God and neighbor, caused by a perverse attachment to certain goods. It wounds the nature of man and injures human solidarity. The Catechism then concludes that sin is an utterance, a deed, or a desire contrary to the eternal law. In simplest terms, sin is disobedience to God. The tendency that we all have within ourselves to sin, to disobey God, is called concupiscence. Concupiscence. Roman Catholicism speaks of three kinds or degrees of sins. Original, which refers to our human solidarity in sin, and common call to forgiveness and reconciliation through Jesus Christ. Venial, which comes from the Latin word venialis, meaning pardonable or excusable. Venial sin truly harms one's relationship with God and others, but does not entail a fundamental option against God. Mortal, which comes from the Latin word mori, meaning to die. Mortal sin is a grave sin, a deliberate and radical turning away from God that comes through clear knowledge and full consent in a truly serious matter. A deliberate and radical turning away from God that comes through clear knowledge and full consent in a truly serious matter. In the Old Testament, there are a number of different words for sin, each pointing to a particular dimension of the reality of sin. Now, I need to caution you, I do not speak Hebrew, so there's a very good chance that I'm going to butcher these Hebrew words. But these are the three words for sin found in the Old Testament. Hatah, meaning missing the mark or misdeed. Awan, meaning the guilt or iniquity that twists the interior state. Pasa, meaning rebellion, hostility, or obstinacy towards God. One of the strongest Old Testament passages regarding the true nature of sin is found in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verses 15 through 20. I would encourage you to take out your Bibles to read and reflect again on Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verses 15 through 20. In the New Testament, St. Paul, in his writing to the Romans, refers to sin as a strong, powerful force akin to slavery. In the Gospel of John, Jesus himself makes the same analogy. Now, in recent times, there is more and more emphasis being placed on social sin. Social sin. St. John Paul II wrote and spoke a great deal about structures of sin, meaning social sin, which in his encyclical SOLLICITUDO Re Socialis on social concern, he defined as the sum total of the negative factors working against a true awareness of the universal common good. In other words, social sin is a structure of sin. The sum total of negative factors working against a true awareness of the universal common good. And according to John Paul, structures of sin are rooted in personal sin, and thus always linked to the concrete acts of individuals who introduce these structures, consolidate them, and make them difficult to remove. And thus they grow stronger, spread, and become the source of other sins, and introduce into the world influences and obstacles which go far beyond the actions and brief lifespan of an individual. One of the greatest social sins of our day, perhaps the greatest, is the legalization of abortion. The pornification of our sexuality would qualify as well. I hope that you've enjoyed today's moment on sin. The next edition will focus on the second half of Paul's sentence that he wrote to the Romans. The next edition will focus on grace. See you the next time.